What's up, guys? I'm going to be doing a deck profile on Fire Kings. We just got Rekindling back to 3 on this most recent list, which gave the deck a lot of offensive push. It's already a really good going second deck just for like breaking boards, and that Rekindling to 3 just gives it even more potential. And yeah, I mean, the deck's not great, but it's a lot of fun. I've been playing it for years and years, probably like 4 years. It's basically what I was known for at locals for the longest time. Other than that, I mean, I have gotten rusty with the deck. It's kind of been sitting in like my bag for a couple years now. I think probably like almost a year and a half or 2 years. It's just been kind of sitting there, just kind of waiting and waiting, and finally got Rekindling to 3. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump right into this. I'll try to explain a little bit as far as what the cards do for those of you who are new to the deck. But we'll start off with the 3 Barong. This basically reads that if it's destroyed, the next standby phase you search any Fire King card, not just a monster, it's any card with the name Fire King in it. And then if Fire King is destroyed outside the damage step, you can special summon it from the hand. It has pretty good swarming abilities, this one that is. Then you have the 3 Arvada, which is a Solemn Strike. It lets you destroy a fire monster to negate a monster effect, which is really good. If your opponent forces you to go first, then you can just kind of summon this and get a negate. Ideally you don't want to go first with the deck. It's just not really built for going first. But that one does not have the spamming effect, or if one dies. But if it does die, it lets you special one. You can, if this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can target one fire beast, beast warrior, winged beast in your graveyard, accept itself, and special summon it. So it's got another different like utility to it, which is really good. And then rounding off the small ones, I only play one of the Yugioh. You could, I really like this card, and I do think you can play 2 or 3 if you would like. This is one of the cards, one of the monsters in the deck that I think is very flexible. I lent my extras out, and I never got them back during the Fire King Cosmo format. So I've only had one sitting there. I did order 2 more to kind of play test with them, and they're on the way. But right now I just have one. It's pretty good. It just helps with the Garunix loop. But what it does is that when it's destroyed, you can pop a card on your side of the field or in your hand, and it basically helps to loop this. That's why you kind of would want to maybe play 2 or 3. And for those of you who don't know what Garunix does, if it is destroyed by card effect, it comes back on the next standby, and dark holes the field except itself. So you can essentially, if you get 2 of these, they're not once per turn, and they are mandatory trigger effects. So if you have 2 in the graveyard that were destroyed, they just kind of loop each other, and you're endlessly dark holing your opponent. There is Called by the Grave and Strike and Solemn Judgment. There's a lot of negates now, unfortunately, that have hindered the deck over the years, which is why it kind of sat there. But I think that Rekindling 3 is more than enough to kind of pull it out of the bag and rebuild it. I do still play the 1 Wolf Bark. I think it's really good. It's just a quick link or XYZ to get you some more advantage. Why not? We do have this now, the 9-tailed fox. Basically, when it's destroyed, you get 2 tokens. Other effects are kind of irrelevant. It basically makes your link plays really good. You can pop it off of Yugioh or your Fire King Island. Rounding off the monsters, I do play 2 of this guy, and he has a little more. He has some synergy with the 9-tailed fox as well, because if you pop it, you get your 2 tokens. It basically synergizes with the whole deck because everything revolves around destroying. That's it for the monsters. I don't play any hand traps. I know it is going second deck, but it's just such a tight deck that there's really not a ton of flexibility to where I could fit in a bunch of hand traps, or even 3 Ash can be. It's kind of hard to fit it in the main deck. I do have it in the side. I'll get to that though. That's it for the monsters. For the spells, you play your 3 Fire King Islands and the 1 Terraforming. Unfortunately, Terraforming did get down to 1, so this deck kind of like, it's fluctuated. Like, it gets support, but then it gets kind of like indirectly hit, which kind of sucks. But the Fire King Island reads, pop a monster you control to add a Fire King monster from your deck, and you can also special summon a Fire Wing Beast from your hand. You can only do one or the other of the effects once per turn, only once per turn, so it's that side isn't the greatest. And then if it leaves the field, it destroys your monsters. So some people will try and nuke it, thinking it's gonna clear your board, but then everything just kind of comes back, or just you rely on destruction. It helps your deck. So just a little extra synergy, I guess you could say. You don't really rely on the extra deck though, so I do recommend the 3 extravagance. It is expensive. I understand that. Um, Pot of Desires is another option, I guess. I did play it back in the day in the deck. Yeah, I mean you could. You then play the 3 tanky. Everything is Beast Warrior. So this is basically you know any of your small Fire Kings. So that's pretty good. Um, if you have a searcher, why not play it? I do play the 1 Tensu. This is debatable. I think it's pretty good because there's um, turns where you can make this and then search the tanky, which grabs your wolf bark, and then if you have this, or search vice versa, and then you normal summon your wolf bark, brings something out. It just, I feel like, adds more. Just helps you, like, I guess, accumulate more resources, in my opinion. That's why I play one. I think it's really good. That's it for the fire formations. You do play your triple Rekindling, finally back to 3. It's a monster reborn for fire monsters with 200 defense. Special summons them. It does banish them at the end phase, but you're probably going to push for a bunch of damage and then make like a link and some XYZs, whatever the case may be. But this is definitely, do not play any less than this. This is absolutely busted. For the for the Fire King spells, you play 3 onslaughts. If your opponent controls a monster, you don't. Special summon a fire beast, beast warrior, wing beast from your deck. Effects are negated, but it dies at the end phase. Doesn't matter if its effects negated because its effect resolves in the graveyard. So ideally, you want to special your Garunix and then get a board wipe out of it. This is why the deck is really good going second. If not, this card would be completely dead if you go first. This is a card that I play at 2, and I really, 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 really like this card because of the push that it gives in the battle phase. Just pop one of your monsters, put in some extra damage. I think it's really good. I don't think you should play 1. I know a lot of people have played 1, and I tried it with 1, and I did for a while. But I would miss the second one. I just want that extra oomph, the extra little push. So I think 2 is good. You play your Monster Reborn, you kind of have to. I know you play the 3 Rekindling, but Monster Recursion is really good in this deck. Just putting a lot of monsters on board. Big booties. They're all 18 for the most part. I think they all are 18, so they're already really big booties. So getting like an extra body can be the difference between game. So this is really good. And then, like I said, we lost Soul Charge, so might as well play this. You do play the 1 Foolish. This is more or less just to fuel your graveyard for the Rekindling. I guess it's up for debate if, to play it or not. It also could be like, it could come up where if you open up Wolfbark and this, you can Foolish something to bring it back with the Wolfbark. Kind of unbricks the hand in that sense, but this is more or less just for fuel. And then you play your 3 Evenlies. You go second every single time. When the die roll, doesn't matter. Let your opponent go first. Build their board, break it. But yeah, this card is really good. And that rounds off for the main deck, 40 cards. It's pretty standard from what I've seen other people play and from what I personally like. It's fair that maybe like a few cards like the Tensu, some people won't play it, or the Foolish, I guess that's questionable. But other than that, it's pretty straightforward. We'll go on into the extra deck, which you don't really rely on, but it's just nice to have options. You play your 2 Tiger Kings, which will probably be the XYZ that you go into 80% of the time. And then you play your Doolittle Chimera. I can't talk. This thing, it ups your fire monsters by 500 and bottom arrows, which is important. You could play 3 because of the extravagance, but this is really good with the 9-tailed fox. Popping a 9-tailed fox equals this, so it's really good. You do play the 1 Kagasuchi, and this is simply just to send, just vomit your deck into the graveyard. You mill 5 when it's Xyz summoned, and then you just rekindling everything back. Some back row outs. I don't really think there is a lot of back row that could hurt this. Like if you're playing against like Rogue, like summon limit won't hurt, because I mean you really only need your Garunix and like another little guy, and then you start like kind of looping and popping off from there. The rivalries and Gozens don't hurt this deck. I tried to rebuild this deck like a year ago, and I was actually main decking those because everything's like Fire, Beast Warrior, or Wing Beast. Ideally the Gozen's a little bit better, but anyways, it's just an option. You don't have a main deck out for back row, so that's good. You play the one Dweller because it's still really good, and then we'll move into, let's see, I have the one Borload. It's there as an option. It could be another Doolittle Chimera, but you could also, like, I guess just for like a big kind of boss monster kind of deal from the extra deck. And then I do play the super poly targets. I play 2 of the Starving Venoms, one of this guy for like a link spam deck, and then that thing. You do play a bunch of level 4s, and you could arguably play Double or Nothing in the main deck. Woo! I got ahead of myself. You have the one Exciton Knight. It's just there for recovery if you fall behind. Put yourself back in the game. You could play the Double or Nothing in the main deck if you would like. You could take out a Foolish or the Tensu and play that in there just to give you another, just an easy win, And that's probably what I'll end up doing, but for right now, that's just what the deck's at, so I figured I'd leave it as it is. But that is an option, and could be a little bit better as an option in the main deck. The only contradiction is with the Evenlies, because if you open the Evenly, you already, your battle phase is over. That was the only reason why I put it in the side deck, the Double or Nothing, but it'll probably make its way into the main deck. Lastly, for the sideboard, we have your 3 super polys. We got it back to 3. Konami, what are you doing? This card's busted. It's spell. Technically, it doesn't exist, but it's a spell speed 4 because you can't respond. If it hits the field, it's going to go through. Unfortunately, for your opponent, that is. If unless they rip it on you, but you do play some more back row hate in the form of Twin Twister, which you can pitch one of your Fire Kings with 200 defense, bring it back with Rekindling, just a little, more synergy, I guess you could say. I do play the 3 Ashes in the sideboard, just depending on, what you're going against, because there are those decks that are kind of Glass Cannon-like, and then 1 Disruption can kind of shut them off, so you do like that option, and along with it, the double DD Crow. Chances are, if I'm setting in the hand traps, all 5 of them are coming in for disruption, but there is also the off chance that someone that knows what the deck does and will force you to go first. So you do play the 3 Torrentials. You're going to plus off of this a ton, and yeah, that's basically what it's there for the off chance someone's like, hey, you're going to go first, not me, and then they run into a Torrential or 2, and then you go from there, and you basically plus off of all that destruction of your monsters, and then you play the 1 Double or Nothing for the Utopia package. Also, the other reasoning, I guess you could say, that I did have this in the side deck is because of the extravagance. Ideally, if you are going to side into the Double or Nothing, you will probably, you can side out the extravagance. I personally might in a situation like that, and probably would. Just so that I don't have this card is dead, because I banished one of the Utopia cards. Although the extra +1 is nice technically, but other than that, that is the deck profile. It's pretty straightforward, and as far as like with what's in now, as far as like the meta and the power creep that's taken place over this deck over the past 4 or 5 years. Let me know what you guys think. I will probably not play this at locals until after YCS Portland. As I mentioned, I'm working. I'm strictly only focusing on Necros. I've been playing Necros in and play testing, playing it at locals nonstop since the last video, and I will do that up until the YCS, just to become as familiar as I can with everything, and really just play test. But Once the YCS is over, I'll probably, be tinkering around with some lower tier decks, and I'll probably play this for a couple locals. Other than that, let me know what you guys think. If I missed anything, if there's something you think is better. I had some cards on the side that unfortunately, I should have probably grabbed just like for other options. I always like to keep like a stack of cards on the side that I think might go good in the deck. Like, I mean, Flammable Fire Dog could go in there, Reigeki, another Tensu if you really wanted to play two, you could. But other than that, let me know what you guys think. Any feedback's appreciated, and I appreciate your time.